The day has come when confrontations between American good guys and anti-American thugs is inevitable. We the people have been pushed to the point where we have no choice but to go face to face with the enemies of freedom. We didn't want this. We tried to be nice for years, but our niceness was used by the bad guys to advance their hateful agendas. So, no more Mr. Nice Patriot. Now we stand our ground, come what may. I survived 20 years as a street cop, and I have some advice for people who will be going to pro-America rallies in the coming days. Rule number 1, do not underestimate the enemy. I see memes on social media of silly-looking, girly-man liberals, and our side laughs, saying, "Civil war between us and them? That's 20 minutes we won't get back." Yeah, go ahead and laugh, but don't believe your own jokes. Even Justin Bieber can pull a trigger, and any well-placed bullet fired by the weakest sissy can take down the strongest Marine veteran. Overconfidence has brought defeat on many battlefields. Now, the left-wing move to overthrow America has been in the planning for decades. Antifa, anti-First Amendment, BLM, LGBT, and others are undoubtedly receiving serious training from Cuba, Venezuela, China, Al-Qaeda. I have no doubt that their agents are here in the USA preparing the anti-America groups. They did it on college campuses during the Vietnam War, and you can bet your sweet bippy they're doing it again. Now, there's an old saying in law enforcement, hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. Do not underestimate your enemies. Now, next, we have some basic tactics. When you head out for a freedom rally, anticipate confrontation and do not arrive alone. Every rally should have a clearly announced parking area where you can immediately join with the group and where your cars will be guarded. Don't park far away and walk to the event. The enemies of freedom are predators. They will be looking for those who are alone, separated from the group. Now, the last violent confrontation in Washington, D.C. had several patriots seriously wounded towards the end of the rally after most of the good guys had left. Keep that in mind. And most of the injuries tend to come from flying objects or from being hit from behind, sucker punched. One patriot was in the hospital in critical condition because a bad guy came up behind him and smashed his skull with a hammer. The enemies of freedom have no honor, and they want you dead. Seriously. They have been brainwashed to believe that Trump supporters, Christians, basically anyone who opposes liberal agendas are literally killing people. If you oppose climate change radicalism, you are dooming the planet, etc. These nut jobs actually believe that by killing conservatives, they will be saving lives and stopping, get this, Nazis. The left is driven by pure evil, and they see the end of America within their grasp. All they have to do is get you out of the way. Now, the military has a saying, keep your head on a swivel. That means always know what's going on all around you. Know who's coming up behind you. A hard and fast survival rule in law enforcement is watch their hands. If someone's going to hurt you 90% of the time, they will use their hands. Always take note when a bad guy reaches into a pocket. Do not take your eyes off until you know they aren't pulling a weapon. If their hand is in their pocket, assume that they are holding something and keep your distance. Okay, next survival rule. Whoever enrages you controls you. You will be subjected to the filthiest imaginable abuse, calculated to drive you to an insane rage. If they can bait you into chasing them, you're a candidate for a Darwin Award. Always be in control. And think carefully before you bring your children or loved ones, for that matter. Now, freedom rallies are one of the best things you can bring your kids to, but exposing them to liberal monsters is not. And if you think the bad guys won't target children, you haven't been paying attention. Now, as far as your behavior, never forget that everything will be recorded on multiple cell phones, and anything you say or do can and will be used against you in a court of law. The last thing you want is a Democrat prosecutor playing video of you screaming profanities and threats at the bad guys. They will use that to paint you as a criminal aggressor. And if you think that a white, Christian, conservative, pro-America patriot will get a fair trial in a Democrat stronghold from a Democrat prosecutor before a Democrat judge, well, you're about as confused as Michelle Obama's gynecologist. So the smart thing to do is plan intelligently. Now, something I always tell patriots is this. This is important. Always start your planning with the jury in mind. What jury am I talking about? The one the Democrat prosecutors will haul you before if they possibly can. So your planning should include specific actions to foil an attempted prosecution. Remember what I said about cameras being everywhere and they can be used to incriminate you? Well, they can also be used to justify you. Learn how to make yourself look innocent in the eyes of the jury. Make sure your friends have clear video of you saying to the bad guys, I don't want to fight you. I don't want any trouble. I'm just here to observe. Please leave me alone. I don't want any trouble. Please stop following me. I just want to leave. Now, granted, you may want desperately to scream the exact opposite at them, but getting personal satisfaction is not why you are there. You have a higher purpose. You are faithfully representing American values and principles, and by conducting yourself well, you are preparing a good defense if you happen to get hauled into court. Also, know and use the universal hand signal that means I don't want trouble. 2 hands up. Make sure you're on video doing that. And I also recommend that you master the art of the aggravating grin. You do not have to answer or respond to anything they say. When their intended victim doesn't take the bait, they lose. Remember teenager Nick Sandmann when the Indian activist was beating his drum and yelling in Sandmann's face? He just stood there grinning. And guess who won that one? Photos and videos of you clearly trying to avoid trouble just might save you a lifetime of grief. Okay, this has been Maga Survival 101, Basic Planning and Attitude. Next video, we will talk about equipment and weapons. This is Wild Bill for America. Thank you for watching, and America bless God again.